I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey, broken people. Welcome back. I'm going to let Felina introduce our guest.
Hello, Felina here. Today we've got Elecktra Stanislava with us.
I love it.
She is a jack of all trades. I've known Elecktra in the music scene here in Oklahoma City for the last 3 or 4 years, about 4 years. Her and I met doing a song swap during a girls' rock camp, and have been friends ever since. And I've gotten to know her, and she's just a really interesting person with like I said, a jack of all trades, and we'll hopefully get to learn all about all the things that she does. But she also has had some really interesting life stories, and I admire her willingness to be open in general and be open with us today publicly on this podcast. So welcome, Elecktra.
Hi, everybody.
So first, tell us about some of the things that you do. You've got multiple jobs, so just tell us a little bit about how you spend your time.
Well, I work at CSU Youth, a homeless youth shelter that helps at-risk and homeless youth that are 15 to 24-year-olds. I am the booking manager at The Root, so I do all of the booking for the shows. I also am one half of the Unkempt Beaver, a female-run nonprofit DIY production company, formerly a listening room type venue. We run a Sunday showcase at Sauced, where we have like 3 bands or sometimes comedy. I also am a landlady, so if you ever have a slumlord, I don't know how to. I do know how to stick it to your slumlord. I write leasing agreements and legal contracts pertaining to that, and then not a job. I am a mom of a 4-year-old.
It's a huge job. What are you talking about?
No, I think that
it just doesn't pay that well.
Yeah.
I think that parenthood is a privilege. It's not a job.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm a single mom because I am separated and getting divorced, but I do have a really wonderful significant other who is trying very hard to wrap his brain around a child in his life. So
I understand. Yeah, people who don't have them are.
So he doesn't have any children.
No, he doesn't.
That's a big change.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
kudos to him for trying,
expect.
though.
Yeah.
It's the trying part. That's what the kids see.
yes,
Yeah.
and he likes silly YouTube videos, and also he braved Dave and Buster's with a 4-year-old attention span just last weekend.
That's just painful.
Yeah,
I can't
Painful
do it
for
with
me.
my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting because I think that he has like a lot of I don't know, why are you doing this to me? And it's like, well, because my son is like my number one reason for getting out of bed in the morning, and doing everything that I do so I can support him as a single parent. Also, I have all this music when when I do my shows on Sunday at Sauced, and Monday I have an open mic at The Root, which we're in the fabulous Root right
Yes,
now.
we're recording in the Root right now. Thank you so much, Edmund, for letting us use the space.
Absolutely.
But
I appreciate it.
when I have those shows, it is kind of like one of my number one healthy coping techniques is getting to put on music, see music. I'm a sound engineer, so I think that I'm a little bit more attentive when I'm running sound as opposed to when I just go see another show. So those are working in the music industry.
And you're also a musician.
Yeah, I'm on hiatus.
But you have a band.
I do have a band. It's called, we are Elecktra and the Annihilation Carousel. We are acoustic punk meets math. mathcore.
What is that?
So my backing band, the Annihilation Carousel, currently is the Giraffe Massacre, which is
I
one.
love these names. By the way.
It's one of the best mathcore bands. So like mathcore bands tend to play with different time signatures. They have like really complex technical songwriting styles.
Okay.
So it's not like your basic 3-4-4-4. It's not like a chord progression. It's not like singer-songwriters will write a song around the story. And a lot of mathcore it's very few bands have lyrics in them, and they're very, very quick to change up. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I say math is kind of like a new way of taking jazz theory and like applying it to like metal. So
Okay.
Yeah, and you're an amazing singer as well, and you play all the instruments. And
yeah, I play 13 well.
Oh wow.
I play more than that badly.
Yeah, you're an incredible musician, so don't sell yourself short there.
But since I took over full-time booking at the Root, I really like scaled back when I play, because I would do on a minimum 4 shows. There's been points in my life where, like 2 years ago, I did 28 shows in 31 days.
Wow.
And I had pneumonia, and so for most of those shows, I had like my left lung was full of fluid, and I couldn't
Right.
sing at my full
Capacity, yeah.
and I ended up, when I found out I had pneumonia is when I released my first like demo for myself, because 33 now, and at the time I was turning 30, I want to say, and I had not put out an album of my own. Like, I've been a session bassist and a session vocalist. I've laid down tracks on all manner of stuff. I've had a very long running band project. We just had our 20-year reunion in April.
For your birthday party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And technically 20 years was in like December. But we've put out albums and stuff back in the day. You know, it's been like 12 to 15 years since we even put out anything, but we get together every like 2 years, and it's that one. The Starbellies is like one of those bands. It's like, it is like riding a bicycle, except that we forgot what some of the lyrics are, so we had to like rewrite stuff. And they're actually better because we've gone through more, and
Right.
You're adults.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
adults, so
Yeah.
like rewriting little snippets of stuff is easier. But no, I use like music for myself is a healthy coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
And I try to put music into the hands of other people. So now that I'm staff at Sisu, I don't really get the opportunity to sit on a Saturday in the afternoon and like give piano instruction, which can be kind of sad. But we have an acoustic piano in the youth room there, and
So you're using some of that to help them
Yeah.
as well. That's amazing.
and we have quite a lot of them that can write some bars and spit some bars and have like really good flow, or like constantly are like writing in a notebook, or artists. And I very much try to encourage any of the youth that is a healthy coping mechanism. That is a creative outlet. It is not destructive. Even if your art might be like, I had one of my youth a couple months ago draw me this beautiful stick figure picture of like someone getting stabbed repeatedly with knives. It was not a threat to anyone or
Right.
anything. It gave me a lot of insight into their brain.
Right.
But it was definitely one of those things that like I appreciated it as a very dark kind of person.
But you use your music, and I've heard your songs and heard you introduce your songs, and you are really open and honest, and you use them to cope through with some of the things that you've dealt with in your personal
Yeah.
life. So, can you just tell us some of the some of the things you've needed to cope using music?
The first good song I ever wrote, I was 12. The first good song I ever wrote as a singer-songwriter, because I started playing the organ when I was 4, and I won my first award for composition when I was 5. So like modern classical music and that kind of stuff, that was always in there, but that wasn't something that I wrote lyrics to. So it was really just creating music, but it didn't have like a visceral emotional connection. It was just something that I loved to do. The first song I ever wrote, I was in St. Anthony's right after a suicide attempt at 12. It was about a month and a half after I had been brutally raped.
At 12 years old?
At 12. That's how I lost my virginity. And I love death metal because I feel like I'm kind of taking back some of the stuff that happened to me. A lot of people can't understand the lyrics, but a lot of some of the bands that I listen to are like murder, stabbing, you know. There's a Cannibal Corpse song called Fucked with a Knife. And it took me a really long time to be able to even like sit down and listen to that. But like for me, it's been over 20 years since that happened. And so like it kind of makes me more empowered because I can listen to that kind of very graphic stuff. So the first song I wrote was my psychiatrist at the time. I had him for like 4 years as my main psychiatrist. He suggested, because I wrote poetry and I played music, that I write a song and I take the story of what had happened to me and write it as a story, and try to rewrite that into something and make music out of it. Was at really high risk for dissociative identity disorder too, as a poor coping mechanism. So I wrote Madness of Psyche, and it's I still play it once in a while. It's my longest, and I get requests to hear that one song, you know, mostly from my DIY homies, but it's the lyrics are like, "You're my first, I'm your last." What is it? It's so hard to just remember without singing it.
I understand. Yeah.
You're my first, I'm your last, I'll make sure of that. And there's a knife I'll twist into your heart. It drove our passion, Cupid's dart. So pretty much I took what had happened to me and took some of the imagery of what had happened to me, and made it into like a love song, but like one of those like psychotic, possessive, obsessive, unhealthy love songs. You know, the best love songs are murder ballads kind of thing. So I wrote that one, and it really helped me a lot. And I think it was the first time I'd ever taken anything that was like personal and used music as a way to get through it. And I mean, I wrote so many songs that were horrible. Just, you know, you're 12, so they're.
Well, I've heard you sing that song when I just was listening to you sing it. I remember.
Yeah. Well, that's a good song. It's one of those ones. It's like a diamond in the rough. A lot of the other ones were very not great. My dog Ophion died. And I wrote like almost an entire concept album to deal with the loss of my dog when I was like 13.
But what an
Love
amazing
it.
skill to have, to be able to have an outlet like that.
Right?
Yeah.
To help process all of that.
Yeah,
That's
I
incredible.
mean, it's truly
And
incredible you could do it so young.
I have a couple songs that I don't really play a lot because they're more like bluesy. And I don't know, I go with more of the folk punk stuff, but I have a song I wrote called Compromising Situation, and that is dealing with the sense of grief and loss of having 3 miscarriages. So it was after my 3rd, and I was trying to like, honestly, before I found out I was pregnant with my son, I had 3 miscarriages, and I was just like, nope, it's just not for me. Motherhood is not for me, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna have a grand old time. And when I'm older, I will adopt because I want to have children. And I've always like really internalized the book White Oleander. Have either of you ever
I've
read
seen
that?
the movie.
I've never read it.
The movie
Heard-
sucks compared to the book.
I'm sure it
I'm
is.
one of
Usually
those,
the case.
Yeah,
It's
I'm one
always
of
the
those.
case, yeah.
Like you gotta go with the book, but Astrid, she has a shit bunch of foster homes, and I've always been like, I want to be the mom that she gets who ends up killing herself later in the
Oh,
book.
wow.
But I want to be like that, where it's like you finally got that unconditional love and acceptance
okay.
for a child that,
Had never experienced it before.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do professionally like give CSU youth kids a lot of mothering and a lot of like professional love. Sometimes it's very hard. You have to make sure that they understand those boundaries. And it's like, no, I'm not like getting all mad at you because you didn't make your bed because I'm a bitch. I want you to have good life skills, and you don't really have those right now. And it's like, I don't know, some of them have been in DHS custody, some of them haven't. Some of them might have had good parents and then are LGBTQ, and as soon as they come out of the closet, they're disowned. And so you never really know. They don't really open up to you, and like, you're not there to ever talk about yourself. You're there to listen. And like, there's a lot of like, well, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Sometimes I think that my significant other thinks that I talk about myself a lot when we're together, and I'm like, honestly, it's because like him listening to me is one of my like healthy coping. I need to let out some stuff because I have to listen to everyone else's, and
I get that. Yeah.
I have to sit there and
Absorb, and how does that make you feel?
yeah. And how does that make you
And
feel?
you want somebody to say, how does that make you feel,
Yeah.
Elecktra? Yeah.
So
But we want to know how you feel.
Tell us all the feels.
Yes.
well,
So you mentioned that you went to a psychiatrist and that you were at risk for what is
dissociative identity disorder.
and can you just tell us a little bit more about like your like mental health history and
As a young person, okay, so one of the things as a parent that I try to prevent is that my son has a lot of early childhood trauma.
we're all trying to prevent that.
Yeah, I think that most people are trying to prevent early childhood trauma in their children.
Right.
Not everybody is capable of doing that because there are external forces, and you just try to protect your child, but you don't want to coddle them. But I grew up in a weird home. I mean, I think it's probably pretty normal. My mother was extremely religious.
It's a common theme here in
Yes.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. I actually, one of my birthday parties that I had, I think it was 2 years ago, it was Electra's Rain and Blood and it was
That was the one that I played at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was where we met Pratibha and Craig
yeah.
and Fresh Juice Party, and
Oh, wow.
but that was all based on Carrie.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
because I never really watched that movie until I was like older, way older. I was very like sheltered as a child, but my mother was very much like Carrie's mother. That's not a good thing.
Oh, right.
I mean, I literally got beat with Bibles. I would.
You need to listen to Summer's episode. She
Yeah.
some things.
Just kidding.
So it's like my father's agnostic. He's always been agnostic. He really thinks that religion is a crock of shit.
Wow, so even two extremes there.
Yeah, so he would just be like, no, we're just doing it because that's what your mother.
How did your mom and dad get along?
Well, they got divorced eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was always at odds. So my father worked. I mean, like, as much as I work, I get that from my father.
I understand.
He built race car engines. He was a FedEx courier driver for a long time. He did odd jobs as a handyman. He owns rental property, which is like why I manage his
Landlord work,
property.
yeah.
And that's why I know how to fix so much stuff. It's because I apprenticed to help him.
You
He'd be
truly
like-
are extremely handy.
Yeah,
It's impressive.
he'd be like, this crawl space is too small for me to get in. You're
Send
gonna
you
learn
in."
how to solder pipes today. So like I learned how to do plumbing and stuff because of helping him. And I have a younger brother who's 5 years younger than me, and he would help out too. He's also extremely handy, and my brother is like amazing. I think that for the most part, I did protect him from more of the trauma that I got from my mother and from my father. But at the same time, I was pretty bad about like beating him up when I was younger. It's something that I still
Mimicking behavior that you were being introduced to.
I don't think that he always like accepts that that's why that happened, you know, but no, like the religion was like, I mean, everything was you're going to hell.
Yes.
And at a very young age, I didn't, you know, because they restrict your learning outside of I mean, I always was a voracious reader, but my mother would make sure that I would never get any sort of religious text or spiritual text that did not involve Christianity. And I created my own religion. And it turns out it was paganism.
Okay.
So, when I was older, that was one of the first things the internet came around. I had the internet, and I
Changes
could
everything.
look for all this stuff, and I started learning about other religions, cultures. But no, when I drug my bloody, ripped up clothes and myself home after being raped,
At 12.
at 12, my mother threw me in a bathtub and started hitting me even more. And I mean, I had lacerations all over my body, but I mean, I was penetrated with a knife and cut up quite a lot. I had been punched. I have a couple scars on my leg from trying to crawl away at the beginning of it, because after a little while, I was just like, if I just sit here, it'll be done. It'll be over sooner.
Right.
If I just stop fighting. And that's something that like I have learned how to, that one thing, I stopped fighting. I don't think I should have stopped fighting. I think I should have kept fighting. But
it's self-preservation.
yeah, it is. And like, it's weird when you're in that kind of moment and you do disassociate. You're like, do I want to die right now? Maybe I should start fighting again. Or maybe if I started fighting again, I would live. But you don't really know if you want to live or die.
Right. You're in that in between.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that has been with me for the rest of my life, but I think it also provides me with a greater empathy and understanding for people.
Sure. So did your mom, I mean, you said that you went to a psychiatrist. Did your mom or dad, or how did you end up finally getting to get some mental health treatment?
My mother hosed off most of the evidence and everything, and my father ended up taking me to the emergency room, and I got stitched up, and there wasn't really any evidence to collect with a rape kit. So I was pretty much just like sent home after like a 3-day watch at the hospital. And then I went back to school, and like I remember someone trying to give me a hug in the hallway by a vending machine, who was one of my best friends, and I could like, I mean, they like literally went to hug me, and I had bruises and cuts all over my back, and it made me cry, and like the physical touch made me cry, and like I like had like a completely like meltdown, and had to go to this like counselor, and I didn't want to talk about it because my mother didn't want me to talk about it because it was my fault.
Right.
Because I'm a woman and I shouldn't have been out, and I was and my entire life I had prepubescent puberty, so my mother would always be like, men are only ever going to want you to fuck you, you know. Well, she didn't use those words, but she spent a lot of time like teaching me to be like a victim and to be submissive about that kind of stuff, and that it would be my fault ultimately.
It's your fault, right?
Which
is
obviously
a very common thing we hear.
If any of that ever happens to you, it is not your fault.
Never.
And like, no, it is never your fault. But I ended up trying to kill myself because I couldn't go to the. I didn't have help. I didn't have support. I should have probably talked to my school counselor, but I didn't really like her. She was kind of a bitch. And so I had, my mother was a really bad pharmaceutical pill addict.
Okay.
Really bad. And that kind of spurred a lot of the abuse, as she was always like out of her mind on pills. But I took all of the pills I could find of hers that said like may cause drowsiness, and got all of those, and like was like eating all these pills, and then I tried to hang myself in my closet, and I had been cutting and cutting and cutting, and I was still healing from
the attack,
but I was cutting constantly, and I had never cut before then either, and I had I really went all in because I ate all these pills, and I hung myself in my closet, and the rope ended up breaking, and I think that my father found me. Anyway, I had like vomited up because I had eaten so many pills that your body just can't handle that amount of stuff. And I had vomited up most of that. I was really out of it, and then I remember kind of doing intake from the hospital bed, and I had like a tube down my nose that they were still trying to make sure that like everything was out. And then I don't really remember quite a few days, and then I was in the adolescent ward for like almost a month, getting therapy, and like they put me on several different medicines over, like they would try one and then it wouldn't work, it would make it worse, which is something I've learned that I mean there's newer stuff out here now since the last time I took anything, but I have a very sensitive chemical balance, and a lot of the stuff that works with like regular bipolar people or like mood stabilizers, they do not work for me.
So when were you diagnosed with bipolar?
Well, I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 13, but it wasn't rapid cycle until I was a college student. And I was, I think I was diagnosed when I was 17.
What is rapid cycle?
That just means that you have 4 or more cycles between the depressive states and the manias in a year.
Okay.
It's not like back and forth every day, but I don't know. One of the reasons that I work so much and that I am a highly scheduled, like everything on my schedule, it gets me through the depression because I have obligations.
Right.
It's not about me, because everything is like when you're depressed, it's harder to get out of bed. Sleep doesn't feel as restful, but like for me, my own way of dealing with it is being obligated to things for other people. So that helps me get through the depressive cycles. And when I do have mania, I've learned over the years, and I probably didn't get very good at it until I was in my mid-20s. Instead of being destructive with my mania, or like going on benders or something,
Right.
and that is also like you want to self-medicate, and so if you go on an alcoholic bender, that's a depressant, and so it should help pull you out of a mania. Most people don't make that like self-aware
Right.
thing.
Consciousness.
So I will just use my mania to be multitask and get as many things done. I will deep clean my house. I will run and do all of the errands. And it will catch up to me, because then I'll have be like, I will start one thing, like booking, send out 37 emails, 28 different messages, and then none of these people will respond because they're at work and they have their other stuff.
Right.
And then I have 50 communications I have to deal with at once. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm on to another thing, because I like
Your mania has passed.
yeah,
and so you're not wanting to deal with
it can
it
get
anymore.
very
And it's
intense
stressful.
sometimes.
But it sounds like you're very self-aware whenever you're in those states.
Yeah, I am.
Did it take some time to get there to know yourself to where?
Yes, and well, it's like I don't have health insurance. That is kind of kicking me in the ass right now.
The whole thing. for a
I
lot of
mean, I
people.
just
Yes,
I don't
it is.
work a full-time job. I work part-time jobs, and it's not offered at any of my jobs. I can't really afford it. My son has sooner care, so I that would be a big thing. I would probably have even more jobs if I had to make sure that my son had health insurance. So I don't have to worry about him. If he has a sniffle, I normally wait because I want him to have an immune system. But
Right.
like he always gets immediate care on anything. But like me, I've been working so much over the last couple months that I'd be up for 50 hours straight and do 6 shifts on the weekends, because my son is with his father, so I don't have to stress so much about
Right.
childcare. I spend a lot of time working, and
You use that to help manage the symptoms.
yeah, I do, but also I've been really ill, right? Recently, I went to the doctor 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't know what's wrong with me yet, and she doesn't know what's wrong with me, but it's something that's very severe, and so I have to figure out how to get health insurance now, and it's an added stressor that I don't want. Also, I don't want any of the treatments.
Well,
That's
it's
right.
also
Possible.
fucking bullshit that it has to be something that's stressful in America, that you just need basic health insurance, and
Yeah.
it's such a stressor to be
And,
able to find that.
Oh, and that's something I find working with social workers and with these kids, these youth. They're not kids. They're normally young adults. Some of them just literally had a shit draw in life, and they're not lazy, they're smart, they might be experiencing some mental health problems, but that in no way really affects who they are. They're amazing individuals, every single one of them. Some of them, yeah, enough with the eye rolls and stuff, but
they're still teenagers.
yeah. but they're not bad people. They're not lazy. They're not drains on society. And same with, I mean, I talk to a lot of adult homeless. I actually just ran out of snacks in my van, and so the next time I go to my grocery store, I'm going to get some more snacks. But I normally will have like handbills and stuff, and like I can do outreach. And I'll talk to adult homeless because they don't always have as many resources available to them
As children.
and I also like a lot of the homeless dudes that you'll see sitting out at 7-Eleven or on the corner with the sign. They're normally part of a larger camp, and very often there will be young people in that camp that they then, like, all of them, because they are younger, are protecting and helping feed their community of homeless people. It's amazing to see people that have literally hardly anything will hand the shirt off their back or split a sandwich in half. And if we had universal health care and all kinds of stuff, then they would be in a way better situation.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of, I mean, I know that a lot of homeless people are often dealing with mental health issues as well, so.
Well, and I can normally tell the ones I should not talk to.
Right.
For your own safety. Yeah.
But I mean, I always have mace on me, and I do know self-defense. That's something that a lot of, I think that if you are a rape survivor, going to the gym and maybe taking a martial arts class or going to like just one of those self-defense classes, it can really help. And I just think that in general, exercise makes you feel better, even if you're not working towards a goal.
Right.
If you have like low self-esteem, or you feel weak, or you feel like you have no purpose, you know, go do some leg curls. Go do some yoga. Getting a little bit stronger, it's very empowering because you actually do have power.
Right.
And so I have a bench in my house, and I don't work out as much as I would like to. I normally do about 15 minutes of yoga every morning, and I spend a lot of time meditating.
That's great.
I mean, I only have short bursts of this time that I have to meditate, so it can be kind of hectic as a mom.
But that's one of the things that you use to manage your own anxiety and depression.
A lot. Well, and I also, I will have some severe anxiety days where I'm like hiding behind the soundboard because like
you don't want to socially interact.
Well, it's not even that. It's that like literally the musicians that I'm dealing with are diva assholes. And I'm like, oh my god, like, and it's like I was already having not an alright day, and then they want to be like, I want this specific thing, and like, why aren't you giving this to me? Like, my sound is blah blah blah. Or if I hear, can I get that one more time in the monitor? Like, and so I was just like, be like, okay. Just
do the breathing
down.
exercises.
And like go to the restroom and just be and I think that humor helps diffuse anxiety a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's like something I will do if I'm depressed. I will message one of my friends and I'll be like, can you tell me a joke? Or if I notice that someone else looks like they are not having a good time in a social thing, I very often, I think that the great equalizer in jokes is fart jokes. And so I very often, if I have someone that is new or nervous coming to the stage on open mic, when I, like, especially comedians got some balls or some tits or whatever
Ovaries.
to get up there, because like as a musician you have instruments to hide behind.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's practiced and rehearsed. You know what
Yep.
you know what to expect. As a comedian, when you go up there, it's all based on crowd, and the crowd could be totally different. You could have brought the jokes that you have been practicing on the way here, and then the crowd is like a bunch of Republicans, and it's not gonna go over well.
That would
Not
be my
that I
luck.
think we have that many here, but
Thank God.
very often when I notice someone looks really nervous, when I go, coming to the stage now, blah blah blah, everyone give a round of applause. Whenever I go to like shake their hand or high five them when I'm off mic, I'll be like, sorry, I farted. And then just pop off the stage, and they will normally laugh. It like diffuses the situation. I normally didn't fart.
Normally.
But like
That would
I
make me
really
forget
do.
everything I was gonna say after. Just started laughing.
But yeah.
But it takes away some of the anxiety. You're right, I get it.
I think that, and that works for most people with anxiety. It's like a good laugh. And most people with depression will forget about it. They might come back to it, because depression isn't sadness.
No,
Depression is a
Why
chronic.
is that so hard
thing.
for people to
I
understand?
don't know. I don't know. And just cheer up. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Bitch. Like, that's not how it works.
But when you're experiencing mental health problems, mostly like depression, like obviously if you're having like hallucinations, you probably don't want to be out in the general population.
Right.
But you know, when you're experiencing depression or you're having anxiety, and anxiety makes it even harder, because anytime you put that in there, the idea, like the fear and anxiety to leave the house or to get into the situation, anxiety is like the worst. It
is.
You
Yeah.
imagine that going out to see a friend at a bar, that around every corner there is a monster, and it's always going to be the worst outcome in your mind. That's what you predict
And
is
it's
going to happen.
involuntary. You
Yeah.
can't even, you'll try to talk yourself out of it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Like the physiological reaction is still there.
And I love coffee. Coffee gets me through so much. That's one of the things that I'm like, I'm having an anxiety attack. Hang on, I just had 3 shots of espresso.
Oh, wow.
This is biofeedback that induced an anxiety attack. So eventually the caffeine and my heart rate will calm down, and that will go away. In the meantime, I do this like probably once a week, where I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
why am I
What is
so
wrong with
anxious?
me?
What? And I'm like, I just drank a lot of coffee. I normally try to like drink it throughout the day. I start off as soon as possible and then just keep it going.
It's a steady stream of caffeine in your body. I get it.
But no, when you are experiencing depression and things like that, it can be very hard to maintain a routine and to do things that are fulfilling. But it's, even if you have to like literally like kick your own ass to go out and do these things, it'll take you out of that, and you might still be depressed at the end when you get back home and then all of that stuff is done. But for a little while you can forget about that. And like I have a lot of friends that, and like I've worked as a doula a
Okay.
lot too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
that was
7
another one of your jack of all
years,
trades. Yeah.
7 years of doula.
I've thought about it.
I
I keep looking at the training and not doing it.
Yeah, I was Dona. I'm not currently. I love babies. I love them, especially when you can hand them back.
Right? That's my favorite kind.
And like as a when you're a birth doula, you're there to prevent trauma.
Mhm.
And I really only ever worked with women that experienced sexual trauma before the pregnancy.
Okay.
And like it can be the things that are happening to your body are, even if you've had more than one baby, every baby is different, every pregnancy is different, and it can be overwhelming. The hormones are everywhere. It, it's just so much. And like, if you have someone there, doulas are emotional support more than baby catchers. I constantly am explaining this to people. And
What do they think, doulas or midwives?
Yeah,
Okay.
midwives are completely different than obstetricians.
Right.
And
Everybody has a different purpose.
yeah, doulas are there more for emotional support, and like, I will slip in to the, can you take some deep breaths with me now, okay? Okay, you only have 30 seconds left on this contraction. Let's just imagine holding your baby and breathe and like
And that's amazingly helpful.
Yeah.
And same with like, I mean, like, it's not always a man and a woman making a baby. Sometimes it's two women. Sometimes there's the mother-in-law in there too, who thinks that they're helping because they've had 18 kids.
Right.
So you are running interference on everyone, trying to make sure that the main baby havers are calm, and you're always focused on the mother in labor.
Yeah.
Right.
More than anyone else.
Yeah, of course.
And it's very like you're normally wearing like scrubs and stuff, and it can be very intense. So and I do love, I've traveled for it, so I will come out before a due date, and I will help get the nursery finished off, because it's 2 weeks until D-Day, and
Mommy is hugely pregnant.
yeah, and you weren't expecting to need to be resting so much, because it takes a lot to grow a human. And Father is working nonstop because he wants to be there as much as possible when the baby is there.
Even though he's just going to get on your nerves when he's there.
That's not,
Y'all should
that's
rethink
not
that way.
true.
Just teasing.
I've
just
met
teasing.
some really great
My
fathers.
ex-husband was very helpful when he was there after the babies were born.
Mine
But
too.
he still got on my nerves.
Yeah.
Everything did.
Yeah, and that's also hormones. But like,
Yes.
I'll go in there and be like, because I'm a handy woman, and I know how, and I'll help meal prep, and I'll fix a toilet, and I'll finish painting a room.
Oh, you're full service.
Yeah, I will do full service, and I mean, I don't charge that much. I should be doulas can make $200 an hour easy.
Oh, wow.
And I always do sliding scale.
Okay.
And when I travel, it's like all expenses paid, and like room and board will be in-house. So they don't have to worry about, and you don't want to be staying in a hotel
No.
2 blocks or more down the street from this house
Right.
where the baby is, when you need to be there at like all times. And I don't know how many times I've helped a pregnant woman just wants a bath, and then she gets stuck in the bathtub. And it's like, these are normally people I know, you know, but like that level of like, okay, well, we just went from being like friends, acquaintances, to like, I've seen you completely naked,
Right. Very
or like, I'll
close
be
and
in the
personal.
shower, like, and like the other bathroom is not working, or like there's only one bathroom, and like just no, pregnant mom needs to pee now.
Right.
So you're gonna get close to personal real quick.
Yeah,
In that environment.
and,
Yeah.
and like a lot of what I do is just being completely non-judgmental. Like almost every job I do is being non-judgmental and being extremely supportive.
Well, I would say, because you're my friend and I've known you for a while, that's just who you are in general with everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a judgmental person, and you always, even when you're having a really bad day, and I've shown up to see you or run into you, and you're having a bad day, you still always have a hug
Well,
give.
that's because it's for you, Feline.
That's not true. I see you treat other people that way as well. You're very kind.
Recently, I'm on this progesterone or something to try to like stabilize my hormones. And one of the side effects is like mood swings, and it really isn't so much mood swings. It's just like I'm always complaining and want to murder people, and I don't like it. But like,
It's kind of funny because the progesterone they gave me so that I won't be that way. Because being estrogen dominant makes me that way.
I'm like really not enjoying it. I'm always cranky and like I mean like everything.
Being a woman is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Our hormones really talk to us way more than they do with men.
Yes, they do.
Such bullshit.
Well, it's like I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm sensitive. I am sympathetic and I am empathetic, but I don't know. I normally don't let my emotional state control my actions very much. I went through anger management about 7 or 8 years ago because I was sexually harassed on the job in a kitchen when I was a line cook, and the guy picked me up by my ass cheek. Like it wasn't like a slap. It was like a grope, and it lifted me off my feet a bit, and I just very casually grabbed like an 8-inch chef knife and said, if you ever touch me or another woman in this
Manner again.
like, I will cut off your pinchy finger.
And that seems like a perfectly reasonable response as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And he immediately ran and told the manager on duty. The manager on duty was a man, and he started writing me up for threatening violence, and I was like, he sexually assaulted me.
Right.
That wasn't even harassment. Like, he put hands on me.
It was an assault.
And he was like, I'm not writing him up for that. And I like took off all my shit, and I was like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm quitting right now. And he's like, you can't quit. And I was like, yeah, I can, because this is a hostile work environment. And he said, yeah, because you made it a hostile work environment.
Him attacking you had nothing to do
So
with that,
I
right?
grabbed all my shit and I went out and I smoked a cigarette, and then the general manager called and called me on my cell phone. He's like, please, 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 please. I was like, no. Your manager that you just got in here just pretty much ignored it, and the general manager was on his way up. He was like, we can't lose you. You're like our best cook. We don't have to pay 3 people to do one job. We used to have to pay 2 or 3 people to do that one job. And so he's like rushing up, and he calls me later and he said, well, the thing that he put through to corporate already went through. The other guy is fired. I fired him as soon as I got to work because I wasn't going to let that happen. And he had already been on the phone to corporate trying to make that thing disappear. And they were like, no, it's already in our computer.
Oh, goodness.
And he said, so they're like, you're going to have to take anger management class, workshop. And you'll have to go through that, but you'll get paid. I made sure that you're going to get paid. That guy is fired. You never have to worry about that. We already put a warning thing on the manager's thing about the way that he completely ignored that.
So what job, where were you at, or how old were you at this time?
I was probably like 24. So, flash forward, I got a raise. I got a $1 raise coming back. Because I was like, no, I'm just gonna find another job somewhere else. So, and I put in a couple applications, and they all wanted to pay me 50 cents to $3 more, and so like, well, we can just give you a $1 raise right now. I was like, okay, that works for me. You know, I don't have to like go through training at another job. So I got a really big raise right then and there, and about a month and a half, 2 months later, that manager got fired because he was sexually harassing and having like every server. There were 6 servers that came forward that said
Wow.
that they had been dating him, or that the reason that they had been dating him in half the cases was that he had pretty much said that they would no longer be allowed to work if they didn't go on dates, and like he manipulated the situation
Right.
to where he could use his position of authority to like get into women's pants, and he ended up getting fired for that. And he was
Good.
a piece of shit. But I did learn one really good thing in that stupid ass anger management class. And I say it a lot, and it's one of my daily mantras, and I've repeated a lot right now because of my hormonal state. But it's okay to feel angry. It is not okay to act angry. And so
Start saying that
It's
to
a good
myself.
mantra.
yeah, it's okay to feel, and I say that a lot. It's
I think I feel guilt for feeling angry
Oh, really?
sometimes, but that's a good mantra, because I certainly don't want to behave that way. But to remind yourself it's okay to feel it, because it's human, it's normal. Yeah.
Well, and my son, he's 4. He has a huge emotional vocabulary.
good.
I feel that like a lot of parents around now are realizing that deciding that a girl or a boy gets this or that is completely stupid. I've always been like, fuck your gender. I can probably bench press more than you. I hate mansplaining. I'm a horrible woman-splainer though. I very often am pedantic as fuck. But my son, I always have tried through his entire life, because no matter what, with children, you can't protect them from external forces, but you can be that person that they always know is on their side, that's always supportive, that always is going to listen, that is going to provide unwavering, unconditional love their entire life. And so no matter what, external traumas, as the world we live in is every day, is there a school shooting? There's people around the world dying. There's brutality everywhere, everywhere. And so I can't protect him and shield him from the outside world. But I can always make sure that he knows that I'm there to listen. I'm there for hugs. It's okay for him to cry. It's okay for him to feel. It's okay for him to feel angry. It's not okay for him to act angry. And I teach him breathing techniques and meditation stuff. I'm not a spanker. That's abuse. It's not discipline. Not that I haven't wanted to, but I know it's a short-term fix that will cause long-term repercussions that are not conducive to a human being a good human later in life.
Well, if you had anything to say to your youth that you're treating or that you're with, or to other women who've gone through some of the same things that you have been through, what would you say? What advice would you give? Because you, to me, seem very healthy to handle all of the things that you've dealt with in a very healthy way, and are very open and upfront and honest about who you are, and I find it admirable.
What I say a lot, and it's always a little different because it's who you're talking to, but you're strong, you're capable, you are allowed to be who you are. You deserve happiness, and you deserve what you want. If you set goals that are achievable, you can create and sustain and hit your dreams. You are enough.
That's incredible.
So,
So, in closing, do you have any projects or organizations you want to promote?
CSU Youth is awesome. We're having our big Viva La Sisu on October 5th at the IAO Gallery. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. So that pretty much sustains us and keeps us open 7 days a week. The route is inclusive. I'm the booking manager. We're highly inclusive. I didn't really get into it, but because of my own like history and everything, I have a giant blacklist of performers that do not get booked because they are abusive, have raped, or assaulted, or there's a couple on there that are just known to steal gear, but it very clearly says that's why they're on there,
Right.
not because they are. But at the root, I get messages from women and men all over Oklahoma about, this person has an assault record. Here's a report.
Okay.
So it's not just like word of mouth. I'm spreading rumors. These are like fact checked things. So the root is a safe place. The root is queer friendly. Because I'm queer as fuck. And we're very open and chill. So, come out and have a couple drinks. We have non-alcoholic beverages too. And
You
so
got Monday night, open mic night.
yeah, my open mic is Monday. That's a variety mic. It's sign up at 6, runs until 11:30, because immediately I go to Sisu right after. So please come and make me laugh and share your music with me. It is selfish. I want to hear you so I can go and not talk about myself and listen to other people's problems and go, and how does that make you feel?
Right.
Let me send you to this resource. Let me navigate the Embark bus system and tell you how to get there. So come out to my open mic on Mondays at the Root.
Do you have any songs that you would want to share with anybody that you have recorded?
Well,
You could put at the end of the episode.
I did just release a song yesterday.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll.
That's called Puzzle Grass. I was trying to write a song different than how I normally write a song. So I went on a vacation. I was breastfeeding, weaning my son. He breastfed for 29 months. So after trying, I just said I have to go for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And like let them dry up a little bit more. So I went and I wrote several different songs, and this one's the chill one. The artwork I had Maddie Zub draw for me is me sharing a Fiber One lemon bar with a coyote, which is actually what happened, and that's in the song. But I do have on Spotify and all of the stuff, I have Under My Breath, and it's got a lot more songs. It's very lo-fi and DIY, and I had pneumonia when I recorded it, but it's got 12 songs on it, and I believe that Compromising Situation, which is my song that I wrote to deal with miscarriages, is on there, and it's got quite a few dealing with being in a long-term relationship and 16 and a half years before, so
Well, what will the name of the one song that you just released be? What is that?
that's called Puzzle Grass.
Puzzle Grass.
Leaves of change float and drift on the breeze. Autumn wind circles in the race with memories. And I hear the call in my anything at all. I'm crying.
gmail.com. The Broken Broken podcast can be found on Twitter at Broke Broken Show, on Instagram and Facebook at Broke Broken Podcast.